Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric here with Iraq Veteran 8888. Today we've got a very special gun gripe for you, and I've got a very awesome guest today. This is Mr. John Lovell, the warrior poet. And guys, make sure you follow him on YouTube. He is a wonderful dude. Well, some would say wonderful.
Oh, stop it. Quit it.
But he's got some great ideas and wonderful content here on YouTube, and he's also an excellent trainer. And today we're going to be doing a gun gripe related to this gun doesn't fit my hand, or this gun fits my hand better. Now, look, Paul Harrell, if you're listening, okay, we're not hating on you, brother. I support Paul on Patreon. He's a good guy. But there is some sort of tactical and, let's just say, mindset sort of things that you want to discuss related to the fit of a gun to your hand. And we sort of went over a few points briefly, but we want to discuss it for the viewers here.
Sure.
So what does that mean when somebody says it doesn't fit their hand?
Thanks for the nice little intro there, too. Yeah. I mean, I'm feeling pretty good. So
good.
Thanks,
good.
Man.
No pressure.
Thanks.
No pressure.
Yeah, a little bit of pressure. So I'm a tactical trainer. I teach firearms classes and tactics classes all over the country. That's my real job, and I moonlight as a Z-list YouTube celebrity, so this is kind of the part-time thing, but I'm training folks on
guns.
You're
in the right place.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm training folks on this stuff. So something I hear pretty constantly is that we'll be talking about different guns, and then there's kind of this ace of spades, a trump card that they put down of like, oh yeah, well, I don't like that because it just doesn't fit my hand. And it's like, I can't argue with your experience. I'm like, oh, well, if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. And that's kind of the end of the conversation. And so it's a little bit of annoyance. And now as a guy who's constantly checking out people's different biomechanical, structure and how they're gripping, interacting with a gun to really problem shoot it and figure out how can I unlock good recoil management, fast and accurate follow-up shots for you, that's kind of my big deal. And so a lot of folks will like, I don't think this is comfortable. I'm like, great, do my way until it's comfortable. And then after a few reps, they'll be like, oh, this isn't so bad. I'm like, I know, I'd like it all to be comfortable. That's good, but the comfort isn't the real big goal. Comfort isn't the goal, it's fast and accurate shots. And none of this stuff is like, there's no naturally occurring guns. These aren't organic guns. And so there's a certain amount of, this doesn't feel natural. I'm like, none of it's natural, bro. It's not natural. It's a gun. And so there's something to be said for comfort, I think. And there's also something to be said for ergonomics. There's something to be said for this gun doesn't fit my hand so well. But I think we take a little inch and run a mile with it.
Do you think that the takeaway is that people want to say, all right, basically the takeaway would be, all right, because I don't feel like this gun is comfortable, I feel like I can't shoot it to its fullest potential. Do you think that that's where they want the conversation to end, is they want to say, oh, well, I'm not performing well because it's the gun's fault. They want to blame the gun because of some aesthetic feature or comfort feature when it's not really about comfort. It's more about you interacting with the gun. I think the takeaway there, in my opinion, would be along the lines of, these guns are a tool, and a human being has to interact with this tool. So, there's going to be a certain degree of the physical ability that a person needs to have to be able to interact with a tool. For instance, if I have humongous, huge, giant hands, and I want to try to run this little guy, I may run into some problems.
And then when you say, hey, this one doesn't fit my hand so well, I'll be like, hey, roger that. Yep, that's a good critique.
Right.
But when you have two similar sized guns and just kind of normal hand meets normal gun, and you pull this one doesn't fit my hand so well, usually I'm pretty suspicious because this is how it goes. 11 out of 10 students who say this doesn't fit my hand or this doesn't feel comfortable in my hand, 11 out of 10 of them, little joke, are gripping the gun wrong. Meaning these are, these guns are built, the grip angles are built for a thumbs forward grip like this, not like this, not like this, not like, oh, this is terrible. This is your modern thumbs forward grip, and this is what it's supposed to be. And as soon as I adjust this all up, the feel of the gun changes completely. So where you're holding it one way and saying, this doesn't fit my hand, I'm like, well, you're gripping it wrong. Let's grip it up higher in the tang, clear this knuckle, flag thumb up, roll over, back it up against, drop thumbs, cam in. And as soon as I do that, they're like, oh, that feels different. So when people say, I don't like the way that gun feels in my hand, or this is uncomfortable, I'm like, well, first off, let's clean up some grip stuff. And you want to be real nice. You don't want to be a jerk. And so I try to diplomatically be like, oh yeah, you don't know. What if we tried this a little bit?
Sure.
And then as soon as they do that, they're like, oh, this is different. And maybe even if it isn't super comfortable, what I'm really driving at as a trainer is the bottom line performance, not your comfort. You know, if you want to comfort, get a nice sweater, get a massage. But I'm interested in performance of a tool here. And so that's really the kind of driving influence. Now, you said, what were you saying in terms of why they would...
well, let's say that somebody has a huge pair of hands,
Yeah.
but let's go on the other stretch of the coin and say maybe somebody has smaller than average hands.
Sure.
Then they may have issue with some guns just because it's a physical impairment that they just simply can't get around.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you wouldn't take somebody with very, very small hands, or maybe a lady with extremely small hands, and then say, hey, here's a Desert Eagle, here you go. I mean, there is a little bit of a breaking point there.
That's good.
The tool does have to physically, not comfort level, but physically work with your body, you know, to some degree. I mean,
Right.
you wouldn't hand a 60-pound child a big old 15-pound sledge to drive this nail right here, right?
No, but that would be awesome if they pulled
It would be
off.
cool. It would be cool if they could just go with one hand.
Instagram or YouTube gold.
Yeah.
And that's true. But folks will be like, well, it's kind of like a shoe. You figure out, and like, there's not that many sizes here. Let's go
yeah.
gloves. Small,
Sure.
medium, large. If like this one doesn't fit my hand as well. And that's true. Look, my fingers hang off the back, and I'm really holding the gun with just one or two fingers. So
Yeah.
this obviously doesn't fit my hand so well. When I put the magazine in here, then I can get another finger in, and now this one's chilling off the end, and it's smaller recoil. It's not going to be so bad. So even so, I can grip out and be just fine, but it doesn't fit my hand so well. And so if someone wants to say that, that's great. Hand is really too big for this. Same with the Glock 26 right here. My hand doesn't quite close over, and as soon as you put the magazine in, now it feels just fine. So that can be okay. And like you said, if somebody, you know, somebody with really tiny hands tries to grab the 17L right here, can't reach the trigger because their hand is too small, that's a big deal. And then they have to twist their grip to get to the trigger. Big no-go, in which case, hey, welcome to the Glock 43.
Or even a 26 for that matter may be a little bit, well, I don't know. I guess it still is the same reach, isn't it?
Yeah. And so,
the two, yeah.
Yeah, you don't have the reach right here. Go to subcompacts.
Sure.
Glock 43 is where I'd steer you. That's what
I think
Mrs.
a lot of
Poe shoots.
people, if they were, let's just say, in a situation where they were seeking out instruction, all right, they're coming to your class, they're trying to learn. I would imagine that a lot of people are probably going to want you to say, hey, you may be doing this wrong. I mean, that's what they're there for, is to get that knowledge, to get that
Sure.
training, to get some pointers. I mean, I think that one of the things that a lot of us are oftentimes guilty of, a lot, I believe, is that we think that we know what's best all the time, and you have to have an open mind to think, okay, maybe there's a better way of doing things, and I believe having that open mind is always a great idea to make sure that you're always approaching something from a fresh perspective and understanding that you can, no matter how good you are as a shooter, you can still grow as not only a shooter, but we were discussing tactics earlier. I know that's sort of a completely different area, but you can always learn something and strive to learn, so.
Check out my comments. Everyone's an expert, except the experts.
Yeah.
That's fun. This is something I do with folks when I kind of hear that age-old, well, yeah, Glock's good, but it doesn't fit my hand as well. I'm like, well, hold on, let me see your hands. And then I do this. And generally, anyone around of like, here, hold up your hand real quick. Let's see. Here, let's go to the pad. It's like patty. That's really, edit that out. All right.
Yeah.
Look, oh my good, look. The same hand, four
Right.
fingers and a thumb. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Cameraman number one, come on over here. Check this out. Look at this. Oh, the same hand. Mine's slightly bigger, and that's not going to matter at all. Cameraman two, come on over, chat. Come on down. Let's see that
You're
hand.
the next contestant.
Oh, look. We have the same hand. Everyone, it's like generally speak. Get out of here. What?
Get out
Terrible.
of here.
Oh, I can't wipe it off. The weirdness.
Oh, you're not going to be able
That's
to clean that
ickiness.
off.
Chad, come on, man. What's up
It
with
is totally true, though. I mean, if someone, let's just say you as a trainer, someone's taking a class and they try to pull this doesn't fit my hand or this isn't comfortable, and you go, hey, our hands are the same size, that's a way for you, a litmus test for you to sort of go, well, look, you're just holding the gun wrong. At that point, you know it's a grip issue because...
Right, but instead of them admitting of, hey, I have a grip issue, my platform's wrong, they just want to fall back on the experience thing of, it doesn't fit my hand. And you can't argue with my experience. You can't argue with my feeling. And so sometimes I think people use that because they want to say something about a gun and they just don't know what else to say of like, this one, I like that. That's a sweet trigger. And I like the way this fits my hand. When I'm interacting with, pro shooters, typically nobody's talking about that. It's all the same of like, okay, and here's an M&P and a CZ and a Glock. And I can pick up any of them and rock those guns. The one thing I'm never really thinking about is how it fits my hand. The thing I am obsessed with is grip angle, so that when I present, my sights are perfectly lined up every single time. That's what I care about. I don't care actually about how it fits my hand. It's all kind of the same to me. It doesn't really matter what I pick up. It's grabbing all of it. I don't care. It's the same. The grip angle is a big deal because when I present, I want perfectly lined up sights the very first time with no cleanup work. And if the grip angle is different, so for instance, this SIG, when I present, the front sight is dipped down relative to my rear sight, which means I'd have to retrain my presentation to really be good at a SIG or a 1911. Whereas M&Ps and Glocks, they're all exactly the same.
And honestly, when you're already dealing with M&Ps and Glocks, why change your training disposition? Why retrain yourself when don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the 320 is not a cool gun. It is a cool gun. But from my perspective, I do prefer the Glock grip angle, the M&P grip angle, much better. That's definitely more of a deliberate, more vertical grip, you would say, more than an angle grip. I mean, and I noticed too that when I do point the gun, it does tend to just naturally dip. It's just weird.
And if you've trained your presentation for that dip, then you'll present a Glock with a sight up. And so I don't really care which you go for. Find an angle and go with it. But this is built more for the thumbs forward grip, so that when you present out, straight out. I think the more upright grip, kind of like just hold something right here, that's built more of the antiquated one. But so I don't really care about how it feels in my hand. I don't really care much about that, though there is something, as we said, to be said about that. I do care about bore axis as well. Look at how high the slide is over my hand. See that? Holy smokes. Would you hold this gun real quick? Or this one right here? Yeah, and now look at this one right here. Holy cow, look at that improvement. It's like the slide is basically reciprocating right over his hand, which means when the gun shoots and recoils, all this action is in line with this, whereas this one, look at how high that is. It's like quadruple the distance, which means...
You're going to get more flip.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot more flip. So
look at this M&P. Oops, turn the light on. Check out this M&P. It just rides there.
Yep, beautiful. That's great. Here's another time where I've like, okay, this gun doesn't fit my hand. I'll say that with something like a little LCP or something. I'll also say that with guns with a really wide tang. So, for instance, right here, this is called the tang, and this is designed to fit into the web of your hand right here. So you don't want this hard knuckle underneath the tang, right? So that it's right there. There's some guns that I really like. Let's say, for instance, I really want to like the Canik, but the tang on it is so wide, this thumb knuckle doesn't clear the tang. It rides underneath it, in which case I'm like, all right, this just doesn't fit my hand very well. And I'll say that for that gun. And a lot of other folks, even though their hands are pretty similar sized, that usually has to be a little bit bigger. It'll clear for them. It doesn't for me, in which case there's a good example of where, hey, this gun doesn't fit my hand as well. So it is valid to say that, but my big contention isn't that, hey, let's swing from saying that all the time to never saying that, of let's say it far, far less. Let's quit using that. We're making a mountain out of a molehill. That's not the big variable to discuss concerning guns. It's usually something that people throw in, I don't like the way it fits, or I like the way that fits in my hand. You're saying something about a gun generally, when that's your big commentary, that's your big selection factor, it's usually an indicator that you probably don't have a lot of other variables that you know how to critique. Kind of like when I look at modern art, I'm like, this painting is bad. There's my art criticism. I'm like, this painting is good.
Well, a really good example, okay, here, the 2 points I want to make, and one is an example and the other one's a point. point one may be, okay, since there are so many excellent choices for handguns out there that are wonderful, and they all have great parts support, they all hold up great, they're rugged. I mean, whether you're an M&P guy or a Glock guy is irrelevant. Pick a platform and stick with it and train with it. Learn it and develop your grip, develop all of the intricacies that involve you operating the gun, and then just learn that one platform and be done with it. Okay, point two. Exactly what you talked about, modern art. Wine is the same way. A buddy of mine told me a really important thing about wine. Okay. He said, look, don't worry about saying, okay, I'm going to buy this wine and drink it because it's super expensive. Buy a glass of wine and drink it, and if it tastes good, drink it. If it doesn't taste good, why drink it?
Wait, what?
Right, but the thing is, all these people get hung up on this drink or this spirit costs a whole bunch of money, so it must be good. When the boxed wine is probably just
hold on,
good.
but I really like the cab more because the way the bottle fits my hand. No, shut up, guys. I mean, I like the way this bottle fits my hand. It just fits my hand better when I pour, right?
Or a
hey,
box.
That's pretty good, right?
A box isn't a bottle. A box is a box, and you just have a little spout in the bottom.
I know, but the handles are different, and sometimes different boxes carry different ways. I don't like the way that handle fits my hand.
But the point is, don't go into other people's preconceived notations about what is good and what isn't good, especially if your experience level doesn't lend itself to really having a super informed knowledge of what you're dealing with anyway. Then why not be open-minded and just pick a platform and stick with it? So very much like wine tasting. I mean, just because a wine's expensive doesn't mean it's perfect wine for you. All right, and some things are finer with age.
This is how gun gripe. Like right now, I feel a little bit bad. Like I kicked some people in the teeth, and like I murdered someone's sacred cow. But I think that's what a gripe does, right? There's a little ickiness at the end of these where I'm like, sorry guys, if I hurt your feelings, I don't mean to.
It gets people thinking. And the ultimate goal of these videos is to assist people and to help people. And, a firearm can be a very personal choice depending on what your overall view of it is. It is a personal choice what platform you decide to go with. It's going to have certain intricacies in terms of how you operate it, what parts you need to buy, all of these things. Caliber choice, all of those things are borderline irrelevant short of picking something and sticking with it. And getting a guy like John to show you how to really wring the maximum amount of potential out of a given platform. I think that's the big takeaway.
That's a good takeaway. I'll go with that.
Why not?
Sure.
Guys, make sure you check out John Lovell's channel. He's a great dude. If you have any questions, contact him. We've been cutting some videos, so expect more. And I tell you what, we might even put this gripe in of itself to practical use, and we'll get out to the range and we'll actually do a little bit of critique on maybe Chad's grip, my grip, John's grip over there, and he can sort of just critique us, and we'll talk about, hey, dude, you're holding a pistol wrong. So expect a video like that. We'll probably knock something like that out. But thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate all the support. Make sure you check out Mr. Lovell's channel. It's excellent, and we'll see you all next time.
Awesome. See you guys.